Okay, let's keep on moving out of this dungeon. Technically speaking, it should be an easy walk out, just whatever random encounters happen to trigger as we keep on moving. Assuming, of course, that there are no more doors for us to have to fight our way through. Or that there aren't going to be any other boss fights to ambush us. I doubt it, but hey, there's certainly plenty of room for me to be wrong out here. I was certainly wrong about that previous tent, restoring all of Rose's and Rydia's MP. So Edge and Cecile can do quite a bit of damage to the bats, but Cain is hitting them significantly more gently. And if he touches either of those vampires, he's dead. Funny how I still have more respect for him than Edge, when Cain is definitely feeling more like a load for us to carry around here rather than a teammate. Okay, so a glare can cause confusion. Huh. I would have thought that attack from the bat would have knocked her out of that confusion. It's not a big thing, but still kind of strange. We still have plenty of healing items, that's for sure. I guess I over-prepared in that sense, at least. Hopefully, it'll continue to feel like I over-prepared at this stage of the game. It'll help make up for how under-prepared I felt when we had to go through 2 dungeons back-to-back earlier on. 2 dungeons, when Rosa was still in Golbez's hands and Cain was still mind-controlled. I kinda wish the game did more to elaborate on how Cain was mind-controlled, give me a sense of what the limits to that trick are. Instead, it just feels like a convenient excuse for why we didn't have the Dragoon in our party for a long chunk of time, and for Yang to suddenly start fighting us for no apparent reason. Huh. Guess we got lucky with that arrow, despite the fact that it did so little direct damage. I'll take it. Really feels like this dungeon should have had a vampire lord as the main boss instead of a demonic wall out of nowhere. It would have made all the bats and the vampire ladies hanging around feel like they meant something other than just being generic hostiles to throw at us this late in the game. I seem to recall a vampire was a major boss in the original Final Fantasy, so it's not like that sort of thing would have felt out of place or something. Yet another enemy petrified, which apparently just disintegrates them as if they were just killed the old-fashioned way. I get that's because the enemy has no means to cure someone being stoned like the player does, but still, I would have liked to have seen them turn to stone instead of just disappearing from the battle screen. Apparently, when we aren't fighting doors and walls, the only things in here are bats, vampires, and the very rare snakes. And the vampires were never hinted at by the dwarves. Considering they feel like a decent portion of the defense for the crystal, it's a bit odd that nobody bothered acknowledging that they exist in this supposedly important cave. A cave that we only could open due to the necklace that belonged to the dwarven princess. am I overanalyzing things again? Because it feels like, once again, I'm wondering about things that the game designers probably didn't want the audience to think all that much about. Still, wondering about that sort of thing is giving me something to talk about for a little bit, so that's something. It's not like fighting bats and vampire ladies over and over again at random intervals is especially interesting. Part of me is tempted to just fast forward through things for a while here. But I'm also kind of worried about what kind of bullshit is going to let Golbez gain the crystal from us. We damn well know it's going to happen at some point, just not how and when. And I'd rather not make it seem even more abrupt than it probably is going to be by fast-forwarding until we get to that specific moment. Another batch of bats and vampire ladies dead in our wake, and another quick bit of healing before moving on with no idea when we're gonna get to the next fight. Well, we're near the exit of the dungeon now. That's certainly nice to see. Still, a few more rooms to go through before we're allowed out, since there's a decent number of chambers in the B1 floor of this place. And there's our next fight. I'll be damned. It's not more bats and more vampire ladies. It's bare snakes that I'm sure Cain will do reasonably well against. Never mind, his damage numbers are still looking pretty damn low considering how much offensive power he should have, based on what we see on the equipment screen. How the hell did I forget that he doesn't hit these snakes that hard, either? If there's one big takeaway from all this, is that when I get to the remake, I'm staying as far away from the Bloodlands as I can. It is just very memorably bad. Wait, where the hell am I going right now? Why am I going back further inside the dungeon when we're done here? There's literally nothing more to grab. We have what we came for. We're done. And now I remember I'm supposed to be leaving the place, not going back in. It must have been pretty late at night when I was recording this session. Guess it's time to fight some more bats then, and, well, bloody hell. I mean, sure, we can afford to keep fighting them for a long time, and the more experience points we gain, I'm sure the easier time we'll have in future dungeons. Still, I was not planning on outright grinding in here, so the sooner we move on, the sooner we can see the rest of the story, I assume. I'm sure we're going to be buying plenty of regular potions the moment we get back to town. It's kind of funny how I ended up becoming a lot more paranoid when it comes to regular healing items when we have a white mage with us. Ah, so our bullshit reason for losing the crystal is gonna be that Cain suddenly gets mind-controlled again out of nowhere. And as usual, we're not gonna... really, nobody is gonna do anything to resist the bullshit going on here. All because the plot demands Golbez gets another unearned victory. You get used to this sort of thing happening, Edge. Golbez, kind of ended up shifting to joke villain status at some point, and it's just impossible to take him seriously anymore. If you're gonna have the main villain have victory after victory, and make us get ever closer to a doomed situation, at least make it feel like the bad guy earned those wins. And yeah, nobody on the team did anything to actually stop the mind-controlled Cain. There was no attempt to restrain him, just words thrown. I guess I'm supposed to be devastated that the guy has left our party again with no warning, but for one thing, we've had far too many party changes with no warning at all over the course of the entire game. We're very used to this song and dance. And for another, I was constantly bitching about his spear not doing as much damage as Edge's knives and Cecile's sword for this stage of the game. It's almost like the Blood Lance was there for the sake of making parting with him easier or something. And that actually gives me a sudden thought. Are we going to have to worry about getting into a boss fight against Cain, and the Blood Lance is going to make him very dangerous against us? It wouldn't be the first time we fought against him. That was all the way back in Fabul, and we were scripted to lose no matter what we did in that one-on-one, where again, nobody did anything. It was the first time we had ever seen Golbez, back when he was still kind of menacing and had some mystery around him. Now, we know that Rydia and Cecile can take him on without the rest of the party even being awake to contribute. Every time the script doesn't pull victory out from under our legs, he and his forces have just been humiliated. Whatever sense of mystery he might have had is replaced by a feeling of exasperation. The man is done. The only reason he's allowed to keep gaining crystals and prevent us from taking them from him is because the plot demands that things get all the way to the moon. Even after all 4 of his elemental lieutenants are gone, even after he's been personally beaten, the story doesn't want him to be done quite yet. It just feels weird no matter how I look at it. Sorry, my lord, it's in the bad guy's hands. For the second time in the same game, we gave him a critical item that lets him get a little closer to ending the world. Excuse me for not feeling any despair. If it was born of a dragon, why the hell do you call it a whale? And that doesn't explain the lunar part of it, though. I suppose that's just a way to say it's a very big ship that's meant to take us to the moon. Yeah, the old man wasn't really all that specific who he was praying to, just that he hopes we'll succeed in the end and all that, and maybe some random spirits will help us out. Most people tend to dig downwards, not upwards. Not that it's an impossible solution or something, just that it's a bit awkward to pull off. As a side note, I don't think we were ever told that our current airship is called the Falcon. Were we? Maybe were we in a previous clip? I just don't remember. Not that I have anything against the name, it's perfectly fine, just feels like that name came out of nowhere. Anyway, I guess we'll see if Cid is going to be joining us in the party again, or if that slot is going to remain empty for a little bit longer. Not to mention also time for another awkward cutscene showing Cid hard at work with the dwarves, with Edge kinda doing some things in the background. Seriously, should I even bother asking what Edge is doing right now? Oh god, is he trying to flirt with Rydia again? I swear, that guy just doesn't know how to come across as endearing in this game. And it's kind of amazing how much I dislike the guy, considering the general writing in this game and how the characters are treated by the story. Definitely feels like this was supposed to be a chuckle moment of some kind, but the sprite work and lack of dialogue is not helping here. It's just highlighting that Cid is pretty focused on his work and Edge is an idiot that nobody here respects. I'm not really getting the sense that Cecile is doing anything here, though. And clearly the girls are just watching as the guys do all the harsh engineering work. Maybe the 4 extra hands would have allowed Sid to get the job done without collapsing. Don't worry, I wasn't really expecting you to come back, not with the way the equipment seems to be being sold around here. Still, kind of wish you did get better equipment, and more importantly, that you'd replace Edge. I'm sure he'll be back on his feet the next time the story demands he gets something done. Don't worry. We've got plenty of healing items, and we've got a white mage with us. I doubt we're gonna get bedridden as we keep pushing forward. We're only ever gonna end up in bed when I damn well choose to in order to heal. I'm actually not too sure where I was going with that. I was just talking for the sake of talking for a little while longer, and trying to keep some manner of back and forth when I'm literally just talking to myself. I'll save my praise for when we see how well that drill does. Pretty sure I've already been to this corner of the castle. Yeah, that broken ground is very much familiar, and there's nothing fresh for us to grab here. May as well look at the fat Chocobo at least a few times in this game, even if we're never gonna use his services. I've certainly been doing a reasonable enough job of organizing our bag and keeping it from becoming too full. I actually kind of appreciate that he exists, though. After all, it would have been nice to have saved some of the earlier spears we had when it turned out that the Blood Lance was so bad. But the thing is, that's a bit of an anomaly in this game, and in the series in general. Usually when you get gear that has stats that are better than your previous gear, that's it. The gear is just plain better. And unless the game has some interesting gimmick like Final Fantasy IX Synthesis Store, then you don't need to keep the previous weapons and armor that are now outdated. Right. Back to the overworld and to the village of the mages. We'll see how long it takes for us to get a spaceship up there.